CQ calling all radio amateurs and listeners. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain. This broadcast comes to you from amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. Welcome and thanks for joining us. It's Sunday the 22nd of September and here is the GB2RS news broadcast, which was prepared for you by the RSGB and it's made available to all radio amateurs and listeners. You can also find this news bulletin on the RSGB website at rsgb.org, along with links to groups and organisations that may be mentioned in this broadcast. This week's headlines. We have a reminder that the RSGB convention is just 3 weeks away. We have news that routine bookings for paper exams will cease, and an invitation for you to take advantage of group activity opportunities at the RSGB National Radio Centre. We'll have more on those items shortly, but first, the RSGB convention is just 3 weeks away, and we have a fantastic programme planned for you. Whatever your amateur radio interests or experience, there'll definitely be something for you. In addition to the presentations, you could take part in a workshop to learn more about microcontroller programming, but you must note that spaces are limited, so you should make sure that you book soon if you want to be part of that event. There'll also be an EMF and EMC clinic, as well as contest forums and a chance to find out more about a wide range of amateur radio special interest groups. The social side of the convention is important too, whether you're catching up with friends over coffee or enjoying the dinner on Saturday evening. Day or weekend tickets for the convention are cheaper if you buy in advance rather than on the door, and the deadline if you want to buy in advance is Monday the 7th of October. And you can find out more about the programme, the speakers and how to book your tickets on the RSGB convention web pages at rsgb.org/convention. Now we have an important announcement that from the 29th of November we'll stop taking routine bookings for paper exams. Currently 97% of amateur radio licence examinations are taken online using the Test Reach platform, and that's either at home under remote supervision or in a club setting. And following the release of syllabus version 1.6 on the 1st of September, the new examination question bank will only be online. Paper-based exams involve a lot of extra work and costs for the RSGB examinations department. But you can still apply for a paper exam on the grounds of special educational needs in the same way that you can currently request special requirements such as extra time or a reader. To do that, you need to email the exams department via exams@rsgb.org.uk, and you can read the full details of the changes, including some important dates you need to know, on the RSGB website at rsgb.org, and once you're there, look for the tab Exam Announcements. Now, do you work with young people at a school or perhaps with a youth group such as the Scouts, Guides or Cadets, and perhaps you're looking for an activity that provides hands-on learning opportunities for them? If so, the RSGB National Radio Centre currently has spaces for 2 private evening visits. That's in December as part of the Society's activities for youngsters on the Air Month, or YOTA Month as it's often called. Sessions normally last 2 hours, and they include an introduction to amateur radio before the youngsters split into smaller groups to complete a variety of activities. And these can include Morse code, VHF comms using handsets, shortwave radio and satellite comms. The group size is limited to 12 and there must be 1 adult for every 4 students. If you want to find out more about this unique learning opportunity, you can email the RSGB National Radio Centre Coordinator, that's Martin Baker. His call sign is Golf 0 Golf Mike Bravo, and his email address is nrc, that's November Romeo Charlie, .support@rsgb.org.uk. The Bletchley Park 1940s weekend is on right now, and if you visit the event, make sure you drop into the RSGB National Radio Centre, where you can see a number of World War II receivers on display. And remember that RSGB members get free entry to Bletchley Park, and that also includes admission to the RSGB National Radio Centre. To grab this fantastic offer, log into the RSGB membership portal. That's at rsgb.org/members, and then select Visit Bletchley Park. National Hamfest 2024 is coming up on the 27th and 28th of September, and it promises to be a memorable celebration of all things amateur radio. Traders and manufacturers will be there to bring you the best in amateur radio equipment, and many of them will be offering exclusive deals, which makes it the perfect time for you to upgrade your shack. For more information and to buy tickets, visit nationalhamfest.org.uk. Excuse me. Railways on the Air weekend takes place on the weekend closest to the 27th of September, and this date celebrates the anniversary of the first steam-powered passenger railway journey, and that took place on the 27th of September 1825. The first passenger train ran on a line in the northeast of England, running between Darlington and Stockton, and the Bishop Auckland Amateur Radio Club runs the event, and this year it's on over the weekend of the 28th and 29th of September. If you want more information, you can visit the event website, which is Rota, that's Romeo Oscar Tango Alpha, .barack, that's Bravo Alpha Romeo Alpha Charlie, .org.uk. Now, the next event in the popular 145 Alive series is on Sunday the 29th of September, and the event runs from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m, and there will be nets in most Maidenhead squares across the UK. To take part in the event, which promotes FM activity on 2 metres, all you need to do is to call in and make contact with others. The organisers are looking for more net controllers, by the way, and if you're interested in that, or if you're after more information in general, you can contact Mark Savage, M0XIC, via the 145 Alive Facebook page. On Monday the 7th of October, the RSGB's Tonight at 8 live webinar will be with Ian White, GM3SEK, and he'll be giving a talk on Aircraft Scatter, the Hitchhiker's Guide. Aircraft scatter is all about bouncing VHF and UHF radio signals off high-flying aircraft, effectively hitching a ride with someone else's plane in order to extend your normal working range up to around 800 kilometres. For example, if you're one of the hundreds of people who get involved in the monthly UK activity contests on 2 metres, 70 centimetres or 23 centimetres, then you'll already be using aircraft scatter routinely, and it will have helped give you some of your best QSOs. So to find out how aircraft scatter works, join the webinar live at 8 p.m. on the RSGB YouTube channel or special BATC channel. And you can find out more about this and other webinars on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/webinars. Now, do you want some free publicity? Just send details of all your news and events to radcom@rsgb.org.uk, and we'll publish them free of charge in Radcom on the RSGB website, and we'll even broadcast your details on GB2RS news transmissions, just like this one, all over the UK. The deadline is 10 a.m. on the Thursday before the Sunday broadcast. Here we have details of rallies and events. The Western Supermare Radio Society Radio and Electronics Rally is on today, the 22nd, and that's at the Campus Community Centre in Whirl, that's near Western Supermare, and the postcode is Bravo Sierra 247 Delta X-Ray. If you want more information or to book a table, you can email Western Radio Society, that's WESTON Radio Society, all one word, at gmail.com. On Saturday the 5th of October, Carmarthen Amateur Radio Society will hold a surplus equipment sale in aid of club funds, and that will be at the Cwmdwyd Community Centre in Cwmdwyd, Carmarthenshire, and the postcode is Sierra Alpha 336 X-Ray November. The doors open for traders from 8 a.m. and for visitors from 10 a.m. There'll also be disabled access, which will be available from 9:30 a.m. Entrance is £2, and for more information or to book a table, you can email Golf 0 Juliet Lima X-Ray at mail.com. The 49th Welsh Radio Rally is on Sunday the 6th of October, and that's at the Llanwern High School in Hartridge Farm Road at Newport, and the postcode is November Papa 182 Yankee Echo. Traders get access from 7 a.m. and the doors open for visitors from 9:30. Entrance is £3 per person with free car parking. And for more information, you can email Mike Rackham, that's GW4JKV. His email address is WelshRadioRally, that's all one word, WelshRadioRally @gmail.com. Or you can phone Mike on 07976 368 250. And now we have the special event news. Today, the 22nd, it's the Mid-Ulster Amateur Radio Club, who are active with the call sign Golf India 5 Lima Oscar Whiskey from Black's Farm in Tandragee, and they're celebrating the GQRP Club's 50th anniversary. The call sign will be active from around 9 a.m. and the station's operating using all modes on HF and FM on 2 metres and 70 centimetres. Also from 2 metres, Philip, Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar will give a talk on and a practical demonstration of programming a LoRa board as a tracking unit on 433 MHz. During the annual Railways on the Air weekend on the 28th and 29th of September, the British Railways Amateur Radio Society will operate using the call sign Golf Bravo 1 Foxtrot Romeo Tango on behalf of the Furness Railway Trust in Preston. They'll be active on 40 metres using SSB, and you can QSL via the Bureau. Or to read more about the station, visit brars.info or qrz.com and look up the call sign Golf Bravo 1 Foxtrot Romeo Tango. And now we have the DX news. Today, the 22nd, it's the last chance for you to work Harold, Delta Foxtrot 2 Whiskey Oscar. He's currently active as X-Ray Tango 2 Alpha Whiskey. He's operating from Burkina Faso. He's active on the 80 to 10 metre bands using SSB and FT4, and you might also be able to catch him on the QO100 satellite. You can QSL via M0OXO's OQRS and Logbook of the World. And also listen out for members of Gisborough and District Amateur Radio Club who are active from the Isle of Lewis using their club call sign Mike Sierra 0 November Yankee Mike. The station will be active from today the 22nd to Saturday the 28th of September, and operators will be available on a variety of bands using Morse code, FT8 and voice. And now we have the contest news. Today, the 22nd, it's the Practical Wireless 70 MHz contest, and 70 MHz that is, and it runs from 1200 to 1600 UTC, using all modes on the 4 metre band, and the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. Then on Tuesday the 24th, it's the SHF UK Activity Contest, and that runs from 1830 to 2130 UTC. Using all modes on the 2.3 to 10 GHz bands, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. Then on Wednesday the 25th, it's the UK and Ireland Contest Club 80 metre contest, and that runs from 2000 to 2100 UTC. Using Morse code on the 80 metre band, the exchange is your 6-character locator. On Thursday the 26th, it's the Autumn Series Data Contest, and that runs from 1900 to 2030 UTC. Using RTTY and PSK63 on the 80 meter band, the exchange is signal report and your serial number. The CQ Worldwide DX RTTY contest starts at 0000 UTC on Saturday the 28th and ends at 23:59 UTC on Sunday the 29th of September. Using RTTY on the 80 to 10 meter bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is signal report and your CQ zone. And just a note that the CQ zone for the UK is 14. That's 14. Now on Sunday the 29th, it's the UK Microwave Group 5.7 and 10 GHz contest, and that runs from 0600 to 1800 UTC. It uses all modes on the 5.7 and 10 GHz bands, and the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. And now we have the radio propagation report. We start off with the HF propagation report, and that was compiled by G0KYA, G3YLA and G4BAO on Thursday the 19th. Well, it was a mixed time for HF propagation last week, with a falling solar flux index and geomagnetic disturbances from coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, coming from the Sun. The solar flux index fell to the mid-160s, and the KP index rose above 7 a few times, and that was caused by coronal mass ejections, one of which occurred on Tuesday the 17th and was associated with the X4.5 solar flare, which happened on Saturday the 14th. Luckily, it was late at night when the CME hit the Earth, so few UK DXs were affected. With a G4 geomagnetic storm raging, the maximum usable frequency over a 3,000 kilometre path fell below 6 MHz, but it did recover to 8.45 MHz by dawn. The rest of Tuesday was subdued, with the maximum usable frequency below 21 MHz. And this is why DXing when the KP index climbs high can be frustrating, as the upper HF bands will likely be closed. By comparison, on Thursday the 19th, the KP index had dropped to 2.67 and the maximum usable frequency over a 3,000 kilometre path was above 28 MHz again. NOAA puts the risk of another X-class flare at 10% and an M-class event at 55%, so we're not out of the woods yet. Next week, the Space Weather Prediction Centre says that the solar flux index may fall slightly, but it could then rise to between 232 to 240. Geomagnetic storms are predicted for the 26th to the 29th, when the KP index could rise to around 5. Autumnal HF conditions should soon bring better propagation to North America, and if the solar flux stays high, we can expect excellent 28 MHz propagation, perhaps to the Midwest and Pacific states. North-south HF paths, such as the UK to South Africa and South America, should also be good around the equinox. And now we move across to the VHF and up propagation news, and this was compiled by G3YLA and G4BAO. The last week of Tropo gave us good conditions across the North Sea and up and down the country on the VHF and UHF bands. It's likely that there'll be a big change of weather type over the weekend, ending today the 22nd, and that's to a more unsettled pattern with low pressure dominating the coming week. There will be a sequence of lows, fronts and showery interludes next week, and that means that rain scatter is a good candidate for propagation on the gigahertz bands, and that could be useful on the evening of Tuesday the 24th during the SHF UK activity contest. Meanwhile, Tropo takes a back seat for a while. Solar activity continues to be of interest, and the message is to monitor the KP index to keep one step ahead of events in case any auroras spring up. Meteor scatter will be mainly random, although the daytime sextanids peaks on Friday the 27th of September, but it does have a low zenith hourly rate of 5. For moon bounce or EME operators, moon declination is positive and rising. It will reach plus 29 degrees next Tuesday, so moon visibility windows will continue to lengthen. path losses are increasing as we passed perigee last week, and 144 MHz sky noise is moderate and will drop back to low next Thursday. And that's all from the propagation teams this week. We now have the local news, and details of all RSGB affiliated clubs and societies are on the RSGB website, and that includes email addresses and website links where we have them. We'll start off with news for the Midlands. Meetings of the Bolsover Amateur Radio Society are every other Tuesday, starting at 8 p.m. at the Bainbridge Hall, Bolsover, and the postcode is Sierra 446 Papa X-ray. You can find more information and reminders for meetings on the Society's Facebook page, which is at Bolsover ARS. And at Bolsover ARS, it's all one word. Bromsgrove and District Amateur Radio Club meet every Friday from 8 p.m. and members also have a regular coffee morning on Wednesdays in the Club Shack from 10:30 a.m. Then on Monday and Wednesday evenings they meet on 145.375 MHz from 7:30 p.m. The Burton Amateur Radio Club has open nets around 145.575 MHz at 10 a.m. on Sundays and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Then on Monday they have slow Morse code exercises on 14.055 MHz from 11 a.m. and the club meet every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. The Central Radio Amateur Circle have a net on 145.575 MHz from 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday and from 12 p.m. on Saturday, and the group will have a Google meeting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Cheltenham Amateur Radio Association has daily nets on 145.400 MHz at 8:10 a.m. and they also have a Friday net on 144.350 MHz from 8 p.m. And for more information you can visit their website, which is golf5bravokilo.uk. The Dudley and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Ryton Mill, and that's on 59 Vale Street, Upper Gornal in Dudley, and the postcode is Delta Yankee 3 X-ray Foxtrot. Gloucester Amateur Radio and Electronic Society have an informal net every day on 145.475 MHz FM at 3:30 p.m. and on Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. they meet on 145.475 MHz. Then on Thursday they have another net from 7:30 p.m. on 145.475. They then move to 80 meters SSB later on. Then on Friday they have a net on 432.220 MHz SSB starting at 7:30 p.m. The Kettering and District Amateur Radio Society have a breakfast meeting from 10 a.m. on Sundays, and on Tuesdays they have a club meeting from 7 p.m. Then on Thursday they meet on the air on 145.300 MHz at 7 p.m. On Monday, Leicester Radio Society will hold a meeting at its club rooms, and they'll also have a Zoom meeting from 7:30 p.m. Then on Thursday they'll get together for a club meeting from 10 a.m. Lincoln Shortwave Club will meet at the BSA Village Hall from 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday and from 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. Then on Thursday they'll have a net through Golf Bravo 3 Lima Sierra, or if that's busy they'll do it through a frequency of 145.350 MHz. And you can find more information on the club's activities on their website, which is golf5foxtrotzulu.co.uk. On Tuesday, Loughborough and District Amateur Radio Club will meet for a practical and natter night. On Tuesday, Malvern Hills Radio Amateurs Club will hold an informal meeting at Barnard's Green Cricket Club from 7 p.m. and on Wednesday the club will have a net on 145.350 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Thursday, Northampton Radio Club will meet for a natter night at the Grangewood Club from 8 p.m. and you can find more information on the club's activities on their website, which is Northampton Radio Club, all one word, .co.uk. On Monday, Nunsfield House Amateur Radio Group will have a shack night and club net on 145.300 starting at 8 p.m. Then on Friday, members will get together to discuss offshore pirate radio. On Monday, RAF Waddington Amateur Radio Club have a net on 145.325 MHz from 7:30 p.m. and the club meets at the Pi Wipe from 8 p.m. on Friday. Rugby Amateur Transmitting Society have a weekday net at 8:30 a.m. on 144.275 MHz upper sideband. They also have training and practice at Morse code nets on Monday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on 144.275 MHz. They start off using upper sideband and then move across to Morse code once everyone's gathered. The Society will meet from 8 p.m. on Tuesday and from 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Borton Lee 12th Rugby Scouts Hut. Then on Friday they'll have a net from 8 p.m. on 1913 kHz. On Thursday, Salop Amateur Radio Society will meet for a club and shack night, and you can get more information on their website, which is salopradiosociety, all one word, .org. On Thursdays, Solihull Amateur Radio Society have a net around 145.450 MHz from 8 p.m. South Birmingham Radio Society has open club nights on Fridays from 7:30 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend the Society's coffee morning, which is from 10:30 a.m. on Tuesdays. Also on Tuesday, South Derbyshire and Ashby Wolds Amateur Radio Group will have a net on 144.225 MHz SSB from 7 p.m. Then on Friday they meet on 70.425 MHz from 7 p.m. On Sundays, Stafford and Districts Amateur Radio Society have a net on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Wednesdays, members get together and meet at the Wildwood Community Centre from 8 p.m. Stourbridge and District Amateur Radio Society meet at the Norton Snooker Club from 8 p.m. on Mondays. Also on Monday, Stratford upon Avon and District Radio Society have a net on 145.275 MHz from 8 p.m. and you can get more information on their website, which is Stratford Radio Society, all one word, .org.uk. On Monday, Sutton Coldfield Amateur Radio Society will meet at the Pavilion on 9 Openfield Croft in Water Orton, and that's from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Heather, Mike Zero Hotel Mike Oscar, will give a talk to the Telford and District Amateur Radio Society, and for more information on that you can visit the Society website, which is Tango Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra, that's tdars.org.uk. On Friday and Saturday, members of the Welland Valley Amateur Radio Society will be attending the National Hamfest in Lincoln. Wolverhampton Amateur Radio Society meet every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Wednesfield and Wood End British Legion. On Sundays they have a net around 145.350 MHz starting at 8 p.m. and you can get more information on the club's activities on their website, which is wolverhamptonars, all one word, .co.uk, or at wolvesars, all one word, on social media. And on Sundays, Withell Radio Club will have its net on 145.225 MHz at 7 p.m. and on Tuesdays members will get together for a club night from 7:30 p.m. We now move down and to the right a bit for news for the South East and East Anglia. Banbury Amateur Radio Society have a net most evenings on 144.5125 MHz FM, and members meet for a club night on Wednesday. And you can get more information on their activities on their website, which is Banbury ARES. That's all one word, banburyares.co.uk. On Wednesday, Bishop Stortford Amateur Radio Society has its net from 8 p.m. on 145.5625 MHz, and everyone's welcome to join in. Bracknell Amateur Radio Club have their net via Golf Bravo 3 Bravo November on Sundays at 5 p.m. Then on Wednesday, members meet to discuss using open web. Start that one again. On Wednesday, members will meet to discuss using web SDRs, and that will be hosted by Martin, 2E0 X-Ray Bravo Zulu. On Tuesday, Braintree and District Amateur Radio Society will listen to a talk by Dave, Mike 0 Tango Alpha Zulu, on the subject of digital modes, and the talk will be held at the Society's clubhouse and also via Zoom, and that all starts at 8 p.m. Next Sunday the 29th, the Breedstream Amateur Radio Society will be active from Rother Valley Railway Station during the Railways on the Air event. Bredhurst Receiving and Transmitting Society meet in its shack every Wednesday from 7 p.m, and they also have a net via Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha on Thursdays. On Wednesday, Bromley and District Amateur Radio Society have their net at 9 p.m. on 145.500 MHz, and you can find more information on the club on their website, which is Bravo Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.wordpress.com. Burnham Beeches Radio Club has its net from 10:30 a.m. on Sundays, starting on 145.500 before moving to 145.275 MHz. Bury St Edmunds Amateur Radio Society meet at the Ruffham Tower Museum on the third Wednesday of each month. It's a small but very active club, and they have club nets every day of the week except Sunday. You can find details on the club's website, which is Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk, and the club's general chat frequencies are 144.7375 MHz FM and 433.400 MHz FM. On Sundays, Chelmsford Amateur Radio Society has a Morse code net on 144.060 MHz from 8 p.m, and on Monday they have Morse code classes. They start at 7:30 p.m. around 3542 kHz and are followed at 8:15 p.m. by Golf Bravo 2 Charlie Whiskey slow Morse transmissions on 3555 kHz. Then on Tuesday they have an open net via Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha from 8 p.m, and on Thursday they have more Morse code classes, this time through Skype, and that starts at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, Chelsea Pensioners Radio Club have their net on 145.375 MHz from 2 p.m. On Tuesday, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club have a net on 433.400 MHz from 7 p.m. and on 1.920 MHz lower sideband from 8 p.m. Then on Wednesday they meet around 145.350 MHz from 7 p.m, and they have a face-to-face club meeting on Thursday. Then on Friday they'll have an open DX net on 14.125 MHz with help from 145.350 MHz starting at 2:30 p.m. On Sundays, the Coulsdon Amateur Transmitting Society have nets on 145.400 MHz from 11 a.m. and on 3.700 MHz from 5 p.m. Then on Wednesday, they meet around 70.425 MHz from 9 p.m. Crawley Amateur Radio Club meet from 11 a.m. on Sundays, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and 2 p.m. on Fridays. Today, the 22nd, the club will have a microwave round table, and the club meets at Hut 18, that's on Tilgate Drive in Crawley, and the postcode is Romeo Hotel 105 Hotel Whiskey. And if you're after more information on the club, you can contact Stuart, Golf 3 Yankee Sierra X-Ray. His phone number is 0772 006 8493. The Cray Valley Radio Society is located at the Scout headquarters at the rear of 61 to 71 Southend Crescent in Eltham, London, and the postcode is Sierra Echo 9 2 Sierra Delta. The Society have 2 metre and 4 metre FM nets. The 2 metre net is held on 145.350 MHz on Sundays at 10 a.m. and the 4 metre net is on 70.425 MHz on Fridays at 8 p.m. They also have a top band SSB net, which then moves to AM. That's held on the first Monday of each month around 1.905 MHz at 8 p.m. Then on Thursdays from 7:30 p.m. they have a special meeting. This will be, in fact, this is this Thursday. The meeting will be led by Jakub Kowalski, Mike 0 Kilo Uniform Kilo, and members will be creating a Morse tutor and Morse game. You can find details of what you should bring on the Cray Valley Radio Society's website and on the Society's social media pages. The doors will open at 7 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend. When you arrive, ask for Dave, Golf 4 November Oscar Whiskey. And the website where you can get those details is charlievictorromeosierra.org. That's cvrs.org. On Wednesdays, Crystal Palace Radio and Electronics Club have a net on 145.525 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Saturdays, the club has a net on 51.550 MHz FM starting at 8 p.m. On Sundays, Darenth Valley Radio Society have their net on 145.475 MHz at 8 a.m. Dorking and District Radio Society have a net each day from Monday to Saturday. That's on 144.775 MHz FM at 10 a.m. On Thursday, members of the Dover Amateur Radio Club will listen to a talk on the subject of Marconi and Dover connections. And next week, the 28th and 29th, members will be active from East Kent Railway during the Railways on the Air event. And you can find more information on the club's website, which is Delta Alpha Romeo Charlie .online. On Thursday, Stephen, Golf 0 Papa Quebec Bravo, will give a talk entitled My Skeds, and he'll be giving that talk at the Edgware and District Radio Society. Essex Ham has a net on Monday via Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha, that's at 8 p.m, and they have chat room and audio feed at essexham.net. On Sundays, Felixstowe and District Amateur Radio Society have a net on 145.400 MHz from 10 a.m, and on Wednesday they have a net through Golf Bravo 3 India Hotel, and that's from 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, Hammersmith Amateur Radio Society will have a club night at the William Morris School, and that's from 7 p.m. On Tuesday, Harlow and District Amateur Radio Society will have a technical meeting from 10 a.m, and on Wednesday they'll have a net on 145.425 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Then on Friday, the Society will meet from 8 p.m, and visitors are welcome to come along. The Society will be active with the Golf Bravo 0 Echo Oscar Romeo call sign next weekend, the 28th and 29th, as part of the Railways on the Air event. Hastings Electronics and Radio Club hold a daily net via Golf Bravo 3 Echo Sierra at 10 a.m. They also have a Morse code net on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on 144.575 MHz. The Morse net is aimed at anyone new to Morse or who wishes to brush up on their Morse code skills, and non-members are welcome to take part. The net is then followed by general conversation. On Wednesdays, usually at 1 p.m, members meet up at various locations in the area for an afternoon of portable radio operating on both HF and VHF using SSB, Morse code and FM. Non-members are welcome to take part, and do note that the details do vary each week, so it's a good idea to visit the club website on Wednesday mornings to see the up-to-date information of where and when they'll be meeting. The club website is hastings-electronics-radio-club.com. On Sundays, the Horndean and District Amateur Radio Club have a Morse code net at 9 a.m, around 1950 kHz, and they then move to SSB at 9:30 a.m. On Sundays, they have an 8 p.m. net on 433.450 MHz, and on Monday they meet around 1950 kHz from 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, the net is on 145.375 MHz from 7:30 p.m, and on Friday they'll be having a club night and training for exams. and members will operate from Ropley Station next weekend during the Railways on the Air event. On Sundays, the Isle of Wight Radio Society has a net through Golf Bravo 7 Papa Oscar and Golf Bravo 7 Mike Tango from 8 p.m. The Society also has a net from Monday to Friday through Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey from 6:15 a.m. On Tuesday, the Society takes part in the Bramble net through GB3IW, that's from 7:30 p.m. And on Thursday, there's another net through GB3IW, followed by a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. Then on Fridays, members meet at Haylands Farm in Ryde, and foundation and intermediate licence training is available at those meetings. On Friday, the Itchen Valley Amateur Radio Club will listen to a talk about QO100 satellite, and that's being given by Andy, Golf 4 Juliet November Tango. The Loughton and Epping Forest Amateur Radio Society have a net on Wednesday from 8 p.m. on Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 23511. Then on Thursday they have a net at 8 p.m. on 144.725 MHz FM, and on Friday they'll be having a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. The Lowestoft District and Pye Amateur Radio Club has a net on Sundays on 433.575 MHz from 7 p.m. and on Tuesdays they have a net on 145.475 from 7 p.m. The club meets on Thursday evenings from 7:30 p.m. and the last net of the week is on Friday, and that's on 51.490 MHz from 7 p.m. The Martello Tower Group has a net every Monday evening at 8 p.m. That's through Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Lima. And on Sundays the group has a net through Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Echo from 8 p.m. The Medway Amateur Receiving and Transmitting Society nets are every weekday from 9:30 a.m. on 144.650 MHz. On Friday, Mid-Sussex Amateur Radio Society will have a Nag and Natter at the Millfield Suite, that's on Cypress Hall, Burgess Hill, from 7:30 p.m. Tomorrow the 23rd, it's Milton Keynes Amateur Radio Society Talk, which is being given by Derek Cooper, and that's on the subject of radio officer on a ship in the South Atlantic. Then on Wednesday they have a net on 28.390 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Friday the Society will meet via Zoom for coffee and a chat from 10:30 a.m. On Wednesday, the Newbury and District Amateur Radio Society will listen to a talk by Andy, Golf 3 Sierra Victor Delta, on the subject of solar activity and sunspots. Norfolk Amateur Radio Club have nets through Golf Bravo 3 November Bravo every Monday at 7:30 p.m, followed by a Morse code net on 3.543 MHz at 8:30 p.m. The Shefford and District Radio Society have a regular top band net on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. on 1.985 MHz lower sideband, and they also have a net every Wednesday at 8 p.m, which is through Golf Bravo 3 Papa India, so you can catch up with news, activities and developments within the club. To find out more about the club and to see when the next meeting takes place, the next meeting is on Thursday, this Thursday at 8 p.m, but to see what the subject is, visit the club's website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. On Wednesday, the Southdown Amateur Radio Society will have a cafe meeting at 12:15 p.m, and this will be followed by a net through Golf Bravo 3 Zulu X-Ray from 2 p.m. Stevenage and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. at the Stevenage Resource Centre on Chells Way in Stevenage, and the postcode is Sierra Golf 20 Lima Tango. They have free tea, coffee and biscuits for everyone attending. They also have a club net usually organised each Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. on 145.450 MHz. They have another net on Thursday evenings on 80 metres, around 3.727 MHz, using the club call sign Golf 3 Sierra Alpha Delta. And you can find more information on the club's website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.com. On Sundays, Surrey Radio Contact Club have a net on 1.905 MHz at 9:30 a.m. and on Monday they have a net on 3.710 MHz from 9 a.m. On Tuesday the net is on 51.550 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Wednesday the net is on 28.078 MHz. That's using JS8 and that starts at 10 a.m. Then on Thursday they have a net on 70.300 MHz from 8 p.m. whilst Friday's net is on D-Star, that's on 144.6125 MHz at 7:30 p.m. with an FM net on 145.350 MHz at 8 p.m. The West Kent Amateur Radio Society has regular weekly nets. You can find details of these and other club information on the club website, which is Whiskey Kilo Alpha Romeo Sierra.org.uk. And on Monday, members will meet at Bidborough, and that's for a Ballon building session. Well, that's all from this week's GB2RS news broadcast, which was brought to you by Graham, Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. The news was compiled by the RSGB, who represent amateur radio and radio amateurs in the UK and abroad. If you have a news item to share, please send it to us as far in advance as possible so that we can include it for you free of charge in the GB2RS news broadcast, Radcom magazine and the RSGB website. Send it to the editorial team, whose email address is radcom@rsgb.org.uk. And if your news is time sensitive, you need to send it in to us by 10 a.m. on the Thursday prior to the broadcast. The RSGB will retain copyright over all material transmitted. You can find information about amateur radio on our website, which is rsgb.org. And you can also download the full schedule of GB2RS broadcasts from rsgb.org/GB2RS schedule. This is this is G4JBD, Operator Graham, operating remotely today, so unfortunately I won't be able to have a two-way conversation with you. But if you'd like to send me a report or any queries, please feel free to do so by email. To find my email address, go to qrz.com and look up the call sign Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta. Well, I wish you 73 from the GB2RS news team, hoping you have a lovely Sunday and a great week ahead. And I'll be back in person again next week. And I'll also be back in person tonight at 9:30 p.m. for the news broadcast on 1990 kHz lower sideband. So this is G4JBD closing and wishing a bye-bye to everyone. Cheerio.